Hey everybody, it's Dr. Nick. And a few weeks ago we talked about privilege. Ooh, fix my sweater. We talked about privilege, and we talked about the fact that privilege is a right or ability or something that you have access that someone else doesn't have. And that quite oftentimes when we look at privilege, we're not looking at the rights, abilities, and accesses that we have. We're looking at the ones that other people have that we don't have. And that's why we get caught up in that mindset of we don't have privilege. But we all have some sort of privilege. I want to take that and I want to look at the way that privilege has been done in this country, and specifically I'm going to talk about white privilege because it's a very nuanced conversation, and a lot of folks don't feel like they have white privilege because, again, they're looking at the things that they don't have and not looking at the things that they do have. And that's because in this country, privilege, and particularly white privilege, was designed to take things away from other groups, not necessarily give anything to white people, right? So when you look at the founding of the country and they're talking about, all men are created equal, we have certain inalienable rights, et cetera, what happened though is there were laws put in place to take rights away from groups, right? And then we have our different shared interests like religion, sexuality, gender, right? That have certain levels of privilege assigned to them that they receive. So they receive certain accesses to white privilege and white supremacy based on being in those different groups. So if you're a heterosexual man and you're not white, you have access to certain levels of the patriarchy. Even though overall the patriarchy does not serve you, you have access to certain parts of that. If you are a cisgendered heterosexual white woman, you have certain accesses to white supremacy and white privilege, even though overarching, it doesn't serve you, right? And everybody gets so caught up in fighting for their access to those levels of privilege that we don't look at the system and say that we need to dismantle this overall system, right? That's why you can have crimes that are committed by a black man and they'll say, well, if he was a white man, he would have gotten off. And now you're focused on the race instead of the fact that no one should have gotten off because a crime is a crime is a crime, right? And so that allows for these things to continue to happen. And we lack so much imagination and creativity because everybody just wants to recreate the same systems that we have and replace the top man, right? That's why you can have folks that will follow Western Christianity, even though, it was used to justify the enslavement of black folks in this country. It's supposed to be about love and bringing people together, and it teaches so much hate, right? But there's privilege to being a Christian in this country. And so people want that privilege. And so they subscribe to those belief systems, right? And so that's what we focus on, and we don't focus on dismantling the systems that are in place. And all of our energy becomes on trying to conform and be a part of the system because we all want to have some level of privilege and feel like we have something that someone else doesn't have. And that also allows us to deny them the rights that they're supposed to have because they don't fit into this group. And that's all I've got for you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.